So by now, I feel like most people, or at least some of us who know how to read, have figured out that, well, Elizabeth Warren's kind of like that neoliberal shrub chilling outside of your house. The wind blows left, that's where she'll go. The wind blows right, she'll blow that way too. Her roots are always the same though, and that's, well, she's a neoliberal, regardless of what party she decides to align herself with that decade, regardless of what rhetoric she decides to use that day. She's a neoliberal through and through, and she's pro-war. I know that kind of scares some people who may not be aware of Elizabeth Warren's constant push for war, but it's a fact, and she demonstrated that yet again in a recent tweet talking about Donald Trump's trip to North Korea. It's actually a really weird tweet, and this is what it says. Our president shouldn't be squandering American influence on photo ops and exchanging love letters with the ruthless dictator. Instead, we should be dealing with North Korea through principled diplomacy that promotes U.S. security, defends our allies, and upholds human rights. Huh? I'm confused. What does principled diplomacy mean? Because that kind of just sounds like you want to send us to war, to be honest. Principled, because I don't understand. So, just out of curiosity, if the letters, by the way, that she's speaking about was basically Trump trying to realign the relationship to promote the denuclearization of North Korea that he had started a couple of years ago after everything went south. And, you know, considering all the stuff that we've been involved in, I'm not surprised it went south. So he's writing letters to try and recuperate this relationship. Finally gets an invite to North Korea. And now, believe it or not, is the first sitting president to have ever stepped foot in North Korea because of the efforts that he put forth to try and reach diplomacy with. So basically, he was making sure he upheld his end of the bargain, made sure that Kim Jong Un was aware that he was going to try his hardest to do what he had first said he was going to do when he initially met with Kim Jong Un. And it led to him literally going into North Korea. So he was principled in his original stance, and it led to diplomacy. I'm confused because if I'm not mistaken, Liz, that probably is the literal definition of principled diplomacy. I don't know words and things like that sometimes. I know you went to Harvard on all your merits, had nothing to do with you trying to convince the world you're Native American. I know you were there because the Harvard system is meritorious. It's a meritocracy. Yeah, okay. But it's weird because, you know, this thing with Trump got people a little bit, we call it TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. So there are times when they completely contradict what they say, like not even a week ago. This was from Elizabeth Warren on June 18. I hope Iran chooses a different path, but let's be clear. Trump provoked this crisis. He has no strategy to contain it. He burned through our friends and allies, and now he's doubling down on military force. We can't afford another forever war. Okay, I'm confused again. So, it's true, Trump and his administration specifically did provoke the crisis with Iran. But now he's trying to prevent a crisis from occurring in North Korea, and you attack him for it? Because if I'm not mistaken, the whole idea of principled diplomacy, which by the way, you didn't actually ask to be done in the Iran situation, of course. It's weird. You didn't really care. Like, you made it a big deal whenever we were provoking it, supposedly. You were super anti-war, wanted to do diplomacy in Iran, but then when what? But now that he's like, you know what? Maybe he looked at Elizabeth Warren, so he said, Pocahontas has a point. You know, maybe we should be trying to conduct peace talks with enemies, foreign and domestic, or adversaries. I don't like calling them enemies. And we should do whatever we can to promote peace. Sounds like this congresswoman I know. That's neither here nor there. And so when he does that, Liz attacks him? Okay, this is kind of scary. And this is probably the last straw. I was like kind of somewhat, not on the fence, but I would have considered going back over that fence. Or at least sitting on that fence if she had shown that she had grown in some way, form, or fashion of foreign policy. But no. Nope. Would not be at all voting for Elizabeth Warren. And I would do everything in my power to take that bitch down. Because she's basically letting you all know that whatever the establishment tells her to do, she's going to do it. That's what she's telling you. We're mad at Trump for achieving peaceful relations with North Korea. That's not a bad thing. I mean, you can hate Trump all you want to, but it's not a bad thing. Elizabeth Warren is proving, just like she had one statement on Venezuela, and then the Huffington Post got it recorded at the Hill. One of the two got her on a recording saying Maduro has to go. She was for Trump overthrowing Maduro. Regime change war. When are you all going to get it through your heads? Elizabeth Warren doesn't even know who she is. So how are y'all going to tell everybody she's progressive? She doesn't even know what she is. She does what she is told to. And she is for war. One day you're saying we have to keep the peace with Iran. The next day you're like, oh man, what is Trump doing? We hate North Korea. Let's go to war with them. Principled diplomacy means war, by the way. What she's referring to is that little red line that so many people like to talk about. Come on, peeps. This is ridiculous. Elizabeth Warren is not on the side of progressives, and this is yet another example. Thanks for watching that segment of Mi Casa es Su Casa. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Roku TV, and on JustNForm.com. Also, you can make sure that you're subscribed to the channel by going to the subscribe button, pressing it, and hitting that notification bell to get all of our notifications. And of course, you can help us reach our goal of 500 patrons on Patreon by supporting the show by donating as little as $1. You can click on the link in the description below for that. And remember, more than anything else, find your balance.